Sir Frederick G. Banting, born on November 14, 1891, Alliston, Ontario. Youngest of 5 children, Banting was raised by parents William and Margaret Banting.
Throughout his childhood, Banting attended a public high school, which eventually led to him enrolling in the University of Toronto to study medicine.
While studying various medicines throughout his lifetime, Banting was also very prominent in war, partaking in both World War I and World War II.
On February 21st, 1941, en route to England, Banting was killed suddenly over Newfoundland in a plane crash. He died at the age of 49.
Like many successful people, Banting had to overcome much adversity throughout his life. Trying to join the army in 1914 was a failure for Banting due to poor eyesight. However, with great motivation, he successfully joined 1 year later. After successfully joining the Canadian Army, Banting was wounded at the Battle of Cambrai during World War I. Despite his injuries, he managed to help other wounded soldiers for 16 hours until the doctors had to tell him to stop.
At a very young age, Banting lost one of his friends to diabetes. This was a driving force for him, one in which prompted him to overcome obstacles that stood in his way. One of the biggest challenges Banting faced during his lifetime was his ongoing mission to find a cure for diabetes. After various failed tests on dogs, he discovered a way to extract insulin from pigs and cows, finding a treatment.
We interrupt this presentation for a live webcast regarding Sir Frederick G. Banting.
Action. Welcome to the Big Web Show. I'm your host, Austin Andrusiak. On today's show, we will discuss Sir Frederick G. Banting. Found a way to extract insulin from the pancreas prior to it being destroyed. For those of you who don't know what insulin is, it is something that is produced naturally by the human body. Diabetics inhibit this process to a full stop, or to the point where naturally produced insulin does not work. Thus, insulin is required as it controls the metabolism of sugar.
Good evening. I'm your host, Jonathan McGowan, reporting live for the first time ever from your neighboring studios, my own house. Along with his well-known invention of insulin, Banting invented and worked on many other areas of research. This included various cancers, anti-drowning devices, and developing the G-suits. These G-suits were used to prevent pilots from passing out while flying against the strong G-forces.
I'm your co-host, Kayla Okipa. Aside from finding a treatment for diabetes after several tests on animals like the one I'm holding here, it was his bravery in the First World War that set him apart from the pack, earning him several awards. In 1923, Banting won the Nobel Prize in Medicine. After being wounded at the Battle of Cambrai, he was awarded the Military Cross for heroism under fire. At age 32, Banting was inducted into the Canadian Medical Hall of Fame. And finally, in 1934, he was knighted as a Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire.
Yet another news break. Good evening, I'm your host Brian Williams, and on tonight's broadcast, diabetes and how it affects people. For more on this story, we send it to our correspondent in the kitchen, Bob Turner.
Good evening, Brian. I recently had the chance to sit down and chat with musician Brett Michaels, who uses insulin to treat his diabetes, and here's what he had to say.
A lot of diabetics, the smart ones and the new kids, get the pump.
Yeah.
But that's the smart thing to do. I'm going to stay with the old way and just do it the old, the injections of.
You're about to now just check what exactly?
All this does is check my blood, because the old way, why a lot of diabetics got sick is when you would test your urine, it could be from the night before. It could be, your blood could show a wrong level. With a blood test like this, it's virtually, I want to say for TV, it's extremely painful. Just to milk a little bit, but it's not that
free
painful.
to scream in agony.
Yeah, exactly. But what it is you get a nice draw of blood off this. You just pop your finger, right?
Wow.
And my fingers, as you can see, they're pretty. They're a little beat up.
So you sort of nick your finger to draw the blood.
You just nick it, and I learned through trial and error not to do the tip of your finger as a guitar player. Not only is it painful, but it hurts when you play the guitar, right? And then you just drop it on here like this.
And if you get a bad result, what do you need to do?
Well, my result right now is 119, which is really good. If it's really low, let's say I get 50, 40, 30, 20, that range, that's low. You can feel it, and you become completely delusional. You start to get out.
All right, guys, what did we learn here today?
Sir Frederick G. Banting. This guy is the youngest Nobel Prize winner of all time.
Not only that, this guy was smart. This guy was educated. This guy could roll with the punches and overcome adversity, which ultimately led to success.
He was just a textbook, top-notch Canadian. Insulin turned an incurable disease into a treatable condition.
Because of this, millions of people around the world are able to lead a normal life.
And, you know, you also have to put into consideration how Banting never put a patent on insulin. Instead, he sold it to the University of Toronto for only $1. So, that no matter what, rich or poor, everyone could afford treatment. What a guy.
CBC voted Frederick Banting the 4th greatest Canadian of all time. To us, he was number 1.